Okay, welcome. After a very long last night, we're all very excited to come here this morning, this afternoon, and welcome our first round draft picks. I will say that the process that we all went through to identify these two young players and the workouts that we had and the homework that we did and the massive sort of intel we all went through by an incredible group of scouts, a committed group of analytic team led by Alex Rucker and Ned Cohen driving a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, and Elton Brand and Mark Eversley helping lead the charge of who comes into our building, to ultimately end up with Zhaire and Landry is a good night. And when we look at sort of the values that were most important to us as we decided how to grow this team and select our players, there was none more important than just good people and character. And personally, when you would see me work the players out, and then intermittently we would call people into my office, there was a connection and a comfort level that I had just talking to them as people. And when you took it further, and the kind of real reason they're here is their talent, their ability to grow into NBA players, to play a modern style of basketball, the ability we felt that their base foundation had so much more room to grow. The notion of how we play here in Philadelphia, the values that we have on defense, how we want to play offense, how we all look into a crystal ball and suspect that the sport is going to be played in 2025. When you added those up, it made perfect sense, and aggressively targeting these two players that sit on my right and sit on my left. We'd like to welcome Zhaire's family. We'd like to welcome Landry's family to our home. As I told these two young players, the ability to walk into this building and look up behind us and recognize the true history of this organization, to be able to look around and see the backyard that they now have, and see sports science, and see a strength and conditioning program, and see an analytics department, and seeing the medical staff, and seeing the video area, and looking at our kitchen, which we've kind of designed almost like a college atmosphere where we all go up as a team, as a family, an organization, and spend time. This is their backyard. This is where they're going to get better. And so we are very excited to have you both here today. The process that you went through to get here, we know is an exciting time of your young basketball lives, being in New York and now arriving here with your new team. And we certainly embrace this moment and welcome you. With that, we will open it up to questions for myself or Zhaire or Landry.
Jessica Camerato, NBC Sports Philadelphia. This is for both Zhaire and Landry. What were your reactions to finding out that you'd be playing for the Sixers?
I was excited when I got picked by Phoenix. Like on the 1 minute on the board, they said I was going to Philly. So when I walked across that stage, Philly was on my mind. I was just excited. I was shaking.
I think after my workout here, it was my last workout, and I had a really, really good feeling, like Coach Brown was talking about, just that genuine connection I had with everybody here. And, having that moment with my family was just, you can't really describe it, can't put it into words, but it was incredible. I'm just really happy I got to put the Sixers hat on.
Brett, Sarah Todd, Philadelphia Inquirer. Last night we talked a little bit about kind of the development of Zhaire and working with him on the foundation that you think he has. And then he had mentioned on the conference call with us the confidence in you being able to help him kind of turn into a shooting guard for the league. What will that development look like?
I mean, part of the reason he is here, and this will be the first time that Zhaire hears this, is we brought him back a second time, obviously, for a reason. And when we started studying, I mean, really studying, you have people in this room, and these guys don't know, there is so much machinery in the ceilings and on backboards and motion tracking to really study people's shots and study trajectories and arcs and variants of misses. There are actually things that we have that show where balls go, directly in or a little to the left, a little to the right, and we study this. And over volume of shots, you can actually see trends. And then you backpedal and you start looking at what they did in college, and you start looking at a trajectory that's incredibly exciting. And so let's start with the basis. If he is anything, he is an A-plus athlete. And I've already explained to you about the character. And then you take that defensive toughness in the city of Philadelphia, and so you say, wow, if that also can translate into, a reliable to good to very good three-point shooter and can play off a live ball, that's a modern-day NBA player. And so as we studied his shot, and we really studied his shot, it's pointing in the direction that it needs to. Because of his physical gifts, he's been used to playing a lot as a, interior player. He's so athletic and he's long, and now all of a sudden we're going to take, that and we're going to grow it to an NBA perimeter player, and nowadays you better be able to shoot it, or that's not really a modern NBA perimeter player. And we just felt like the whole package equal. This is a heck of a draft pick. I explained last night where he was on the board. And it's 1A and 1B, and we're thrilled, to have him sitting next to me to my right. But his shot was judged on that basis. I believe that we go overboard and do a really good job with our development program. You got one of my favorite players on our team behind us, and TJ McConnell. He's out here working on his shot. You see the development of Dario Saric and Cov. Like, we put in time. These guys work. And, the spirit of our building and the thing that these guys are inheriting, I'm proud of. And so add it all up, it equals a development path that I feel incredibly strong that he's going to get where he needs to go to be an impactful NBA player.
Kai Carlin, 1400 WOND. Zhaire, quick question over here. You had more blocks than Marvin Bagley, and you had more offensive rebounds than Jaren Jackson. What is it about, where does that hunger come from to want to go out there and do the little things to help your team come out with a win?
I was a natural rebounder, and my college coach told me to crash the boards every time. And if I didn't, I'd probably have to do something, probably run it. And he kept a chart of that, so I believe I crashed 70% of the time. So that's what I'm good at, and the team need me to crash the boards, I would do that.
John Johnson, KYW News Radio and 94 WIP. This question is for both Zhaire and for Landry. Obviously, being rookies, you'll work on all aspects of your game. Is there something specific that you want to hone in on, especially in your rookie year, for both of you?
Excuse me?
A specific aspect of your game you'd like to work on in your rookie season?
Probably ball handling, continue to improve, especially my all-around game, but my ball handling.
I'd say the physicality on the defensive end. It's a different level from the college level to the professional level. You're going against grown men every night, not just boys in college. So continuing to get stronger and learning how to be an efficient defender on the next level.
Jake Hyman, Liberty Ballers. This question is for Zhaire Smith. How you went from the 223rd RSCI player 2 years ago? How did you become such a revered success story in such little time? And what were the primary areas you really hone in on?
It's just the shows rankings really don't mean nothing. I spent hours in the gym working hard, and hard work just paying off, and I'm just truly blessed to be in this position.
Hey, excuse me, this question is for Brett. Brett, right now you have you know, you guys are getting older, the other guys on the roster. So realistically, what are you looking from these two guys this season?
I mean, if you just based it on math and you looked at percentages of what does a 10th player do, what does a 26th player do, rarely do you see people immediately come in and claim a large role in rotations and in heavy minutes. That historically isn't the trend. And I say that from a factual base more than, something that might be challenged. I expect these guys to challenge that. And so where this ends up, the expectations in relation to role and minutes and all that, they're going to tell me. They're going to tell me. And, we got a summer league coming up. They will have ample opportunities to draw their own line in the sand and show their teammates and show their coaching staff. But I feel incredibly comfortable, like when you study them and their style of play and their skill package, they're both excellent fits to how we play basketball. What that means in relation to your specific question, Keith, as I said and stand by, they will tell me.
Brett, you said you said that Zhaire and Mikal Bridges were 1A and 1B on your draft board. Different ages, different development curves. Can you kind of describe like how you guys were comfortable with basically a player who you said could slot in now, and maybe Zhaire, a guy who might take a little bit longer to reach his potential?
Right, and you said it correctly. You said it correctly, Rich. And so last night, you got 1A and 1B. You got a local product. You got somebody that we targeted, and here we are. And in Mikal, you did feel like he's 22 years old. He just turned 19. And so you got somebody like Mikal who's that advanced in his basketball and has played that much basketball that you did feel he probably has a better chance of slotting in and playing kind of immediately. And so that's good. And we drafted him. And then as we know, it plays out and the rules change. And it's you're looking at it, and we loved him, and we selected Mikal, and so now all of a sudden you have a draft pick and an unprotected pick, and we can still get Zhaire, and it's tough, but thrilled to have him next to us. And so Mikal's path and Zaire's path are different in my eyes, for the reasons that I just said. And so now it's going to get down to the development plan for Zhaire, and he may prove us all wrong. I'll be curious to wonder as he hears his coach speak, hey, I got more to give maybe quicker than you think. Maybe that's true. And so the difference of those two is what you just said. I just repeated it. And, I think him coming along and jumping into our development program, I think is going to expedite some of the things we might think.
Sarah Todd again for the Philadelphia Inquirer. This is for both Zhaire and Landry. Zhaire, do you have more to give right now? I mean, what are your expectations for your rookie season? And same thing for you, Landry. What are you expecting to give to the team?
I believe so. I'm just coming here, put my work in, and just let that play out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to be a player that's known to do whatever a coach needs me to do. Whatever a staff or a team needs me to do, that's what I want to be. So, I mean, like Zhaire said, just kind of letting it play out, controlling what I can control, coming in and working hard, and doing what I can on a day-to-day basis. And ultimately, that's going to be Coach Brown's decision. We're surrounded with a lot of good players here, so, if I can come in and help, I think I can, and I would love to.
Are you guys both feeling comfortable with the idea that you might be competing for minutes?
I think competition is healthy. That fosters growth and winning. And a guy like Zhaire, he was in my last workout here, and he's going to be somebody that I'm excited to work with and compete with on a day-to-day basis. So I'm excited about it.
Like you said, everything's competition. You always got to compete to get on the floor with anybody.
Yes, Donald Hunt, Philadelphia Tribune. Brett, can you talk a little bit more about Landry's development? He's a little older player than Zhaire, coming out of Wichita State, and some of the things you're going to work on with him in terms of developing his skills.
When we studied him, and he confirmed it when he came into his workout, there was a vast sort of variety of offensive skills that, you know, suggested he can just play basketball. I think he's a combo guard. He certainly can shoot. And when you started looking at the creative playmaking and his handle and his vision finding people, you know, you just felt like that can translate to a modern day player. He said it, and we think it too. It's the development of his body. When we study his frame and we study his length and we start like looking at his vertical measurements, some of the sort of just physical metrics that we take and are able to get from combines and schools and our gym, et cetera, you know, he projects well out. And so growing the physical side of his game, taking that physical side, because he is a competitive player. And when I watch him play defensively, and then you project out him just getting stronger and being able to navigate through the, you know, pin down series, a pick and roll series of NBA offense, that's going to be the area that I focus in with him on the most. I think from a skill package, you know, that's obviously going to continue to move forward, but I think the area that we need to help him the most with the quickest is the physicality side of it and the defensive side of it, which I think the defense will follow the physicality improvement.
Brett, you had 2 first-round picks. You got 2 guards sitting here. Does that speak to a certain organizational uncertainty about the availability or effectiveness of Markelle going forward?
No, it doesn't, and it's a fair question, Bob, and it really doesn't. You know, when we started looking at the players available, and I especially start looking at how we want to play and who can be sandwiched in between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, you know, we're looking for that modern day type of player. And to say positionless basketball, it's really not that to me. It might give you better vision of what I'm trying to say. I just think that the skill and things that we require, these two have, especially as you look sandwiched in between. And whether that's Markelle or TJ or Cove, I would tell you the same thing. You know, when you look at the league switches defensively a lot. When you look at the league drives dishes, needs three-point shot makers and playmakers a lot. And so whether it's apples for apples is fine by me, but probably what you should hear the loudest is I don't think there's overlap. I think that they can play together.
Kyle Newbeck, Philly Voice. This question's for Brett. So Zhaire is going from a lot of his role offensively at Texas Tech. He's almost playing like a power forward. And now you're asking him long-term to be more of a two-guard, I believe is the goal. Who are some players that you have in mind to show him or to use as examples for him as like paths forward in that respect?
Kawhi Leonard.
So you think, is there anybody else besides Kawhi Leonard, or is?
I mean, I'm sure if I dug back, I can come up with more. That's the one I'm most familiar with. And so if your question is, can it be done? Like, is it a hard transition? At times it is, but I think when we all look at college basketball, to say like, you know, he's a power forward and, you know, Mikhail would play guarded centers. And it's like Zhaire guards form, and like I don't even judge college basketball anymore to be positions really. And I think that you know, there's a lot of athletes that a coach says you guard the foreman, so I guess you're a 4. Your point in relation to his skill package is true. It was more of an interior related skill package that we've seen progressively grow out to, you know, a perimeter type package that we think can keep growing in that direction. And we feel good that his with his work ethic and his current package, that we can grow that where it will be that of an NBA perimeter skill package.
Jake Hyman, Liberty Ballers. This question is for head coach Brett Brown. How do you balance the development aspect compared to focusing on heightened expectations this year?
Ask that one more time, please.
How do you balance the development aspect of your young players compared to focusing on the heightened expectations this year?
Well, I think that let's go to the heightened expectations. Are you talking about these guys as individuals or our team? Team in general, right? So, you know, we saw our team last year, and we ended up, you're right, having a tremendous year. And we saw the growth of Ben Simmons, and we saw the growth of Joel Embiid and the players in between with TJ and Darian Cup. We saw all that. We also saw a free agency group that contributed to that 52-win season and lost in the semifinals of the Eastern Conference, and Irsan and JJ and Marco and Amir contribute to that success in a fairly significant way. This is the piece that we don't know right now. We're about to jump into that world next week, the free agent world. I think as it relates to these guys, none of us, led by me, followed by them, need to get too far ahead of ourselves where they need to fix the world's problems tomorrow. They're young. They're young. And, you know, just go from a historical perspective, look at the people that have come into the NBA and like made that type of an impact straight away. It's a very tiny number. And so there needs to be a reality of patience. There needs to be just a reality of the path that these two guys are on. And so somewhere in the middle of, you know, these two guys' development and the expectations that you said for the team, I think we'll meet somewhere in the middle, and I feel like our conversation can be a lot more informative once we understand who the team is and who our free agents are.
Coach Brown, Cleve Bryan, CBS 3 Philadelphia. So much excitement at the 10 pick with Mikal, and given his local ties, what was it that made you say this is the right move? Like, to explain to the fan base who are going to debate this for all summer, possibly even years, what would you say was, this is what made me do it?
I mean, it's really difficult, yet it's really simple. And so let's start with the notion that we have two players that are 1A and 1B. And if Mikal went 9, we got Zhaire. If Mikal was on the board, we were going to take Mikal. And we did. And then the night plays out. And we got an amazing offer somewhere, I believe, in the 13th round that we knocked back, that I said I'm not going to do that. And then the Phoenix deal presented itself. And so you're looking at it, and not only do you get an unprotected first-round pick, you also get 1B. You get Zhaire Smith. And then you pivot out of it and you say, well, what does this pick really mean? What would this trade really mean? I've said, and I'll keep saying it, I'm here to win a championship. We are star hunting or star developing. You're not going to win a championship any other way. And for us not to know that or admit that would be kind of naive and, in my opinion, wrong. And so to have that unprotected first-round draft pick, it's gold. To be able to use that to instigate a trade is gold. You need assets to do that if you're going to trade for a star. And so that's the process. And I explained last night, and you're right, I'll probably explain all summer and while I'm here. That was one of the most difficult things personally that I have ever gone through. And you always have to do what is best for the organization. How do you win a championship? And that's how we arrived at the decision. And it doesn't make it easier. It does make it, I suppose, for you, a little bit more understandable. And we wake up this morning excited to have these two players in Zhaire with us. And we feel like our organization got stronger in our pursuit to find ways to win a championship.
Landry, we saw a lot of your stuff on social last night. Instagram video, you were talking about how you were sweating bullets in the green room waiting for your name to be called. What was it like? I mean, I know the projections had you going later in the second round, so then to hear that at a higher number, what were you thinking?
With projections, I'm assuming you're talking about like mock drafts and that sort of thing. Yeah, so, with that, I try to stay away from those. I don't really pay attention because, at the end of the day, people making those mock drafts aren't the ones making decisions. So I never really paid much attention there. But, me and my agents and, we talked and had kind of an idea where, we thought I'd go. And obviously when you're getting closer to that area, it's kind of sitting there with your family and I could tell they were trying to, keep me calm and keep me cool, telling me jokes and stuff here and there. But, you're finding out what the start of your future is going to be, so I think it's nerve-wracking. I was super excited. My heart was about to fall out of my chest. But, yeah, it was just, it was exciting, nervous. I just wanted to know what was next for me. But, yeah, I'm happy it's here in Philly.
Brett, this is kind of a follow-up to what Cleve had asked. With the addition of Zhaire came the draft pick, which you talked about a lot last night. What is your confidence level in landing a marquee player, whether it be free agency or trade this offseason?
I think it's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be a challenge. It certainly is possible. We are certainly going into this ready to fight and tell our story. But when you judge the marketplace and you sort of figure out who is a star, it's a tiny number of players. And as we, figure out who we deem to be stars, we understand that that's going to be a challenge. We also understand that we don't have to solve all this now. We have a story to tell. We understand that we have an amazing, I think, set of young players and assets and a growing program and an amazing city. And so if it doesn't happen, the star hunting this year, we will continue our pursuit of star developing and focusing on what we do have. We will be aggressive and active in the free agent marketplace in the event that we're not able to attract a star and form the team accordingly. And the people in front of me understand the cap space that we do have. It's not like we don't have the resources to attract people financially, along with all the other things that we have. And we're extremely confident that we're going to continue to get better.
This question is for Landry, Shamet. So starting like a dual creator, initiator type role at Wichita State, how well do you think your game translates to NBA level?
You said starting as
like a dual creator, initiator type role, being a lot of roles on offense. How do you think your offensive game will translate to this next level?
I think, in my career at Wichita State, I proved over time that I could, play multiple roles and, do different things for, a team to win. Starting as early as my first year, I was playing with Ron Baker and Fred VanVleet, two guys that are, good players in the NBA. And, and we're obviously really good at Wichita State. So my role was a lot different then than it was, last year or the year before. So I think obviously, now I know I'm not the best player on my team. So coming in, finding a niche and being comfortable there is job number one, and making sure I'm doing something that's gonna help the team in winning. So I see myself just honestly coming in, doing whatever coach asks of me, what my teammates ask of me, what they need of me. I don't really care what that is, but whatever it is, I'm more than willing to do it.
Landry, I guess when we talked to Zhaire twice, he's really a likable guy. I mean, a lot of people, they meet him and they kind of fall in love with him. That's the perception I get. I'm just looking at you and you just seem like a quiet, real observant person. How would you describe yourself to someone who doesn't know you?
I think observance really good. You know, I'm kind of a critical thinker. I like to, you know, think about things and look into things. Maybe quiet at first, getting to know people, but I mean, I feel like, you know, I'm somebody that you'll come to like. Excited to be here. Coming from, you know, Wichita State's very blue collar, so I understand, you know, working hard. I understand the fan base here in Philly. Just excited about that, and you know, I feel like, you know, I fit here, and just really excited.
Yes, this is for Zhaire. Zhaire, Coach Brown mentioned Kawhi Leonard. How does that make you feel, man? I mean, he's a big-time player.
Make me feel great. That's one of my favorite players. I've been watching him growing up, so that's a good comparison. Nah, I don't.